Hi guys, we're going to be getting started in just a second. Let me just adjust my camera. All right. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining the live today. Let me know if you can hear me. We're in the chat right now. I want to make sure that everybody is heard and seen. How are you guys doing today? Thank you for joining me for the live. This is going to be a webinar on the ghost and the machine. So, we're going to be speaking a lot about artificial intelligence, what is going on with the body's operating system, and how we can use this to our advantage. Thank you guys. I'm so happy to see you here today. So, welcome. Thank you for being in live with me. My name is Taylor DeClue, founder of Tailored Healing Collective. And this class today is called The Ghost of the Machine: How Humans Are Built as the Original Artificial Intelligence, only we are the ancestral intelligence. So, we're going to explore a radical truth about who we are. We are the living interface systems, biological machines hosting a supernatural intelligence. So, if you guys have seen my lives before on TikTok, I discuss this in so many different ways in reference to pop culture. But I decided to do a webinar today because I think in this crazy time where there's something new every single day, we're all wondering, like, what is our place when it comes to AI, when it comes to tech, how we're integrating this in our everyday lives, and how can we become masters of our own reality? Now, I don't teach this in the way that typical spiritual instructors do when it comes to manifestation, because right now, while we are constantly using machines, data, computers, phones, it's really important to understand that our body is the original. So the operating system that you're working off of is something that's happening within you. It's not something outside of you at all. And so, knowing that your body is the device, your mind is the processor, and your soul is the user, we're going to go over these concepts a little bit. Across ancient history, it has been well documented across time that we have transcended what is referred to as life and death. These are given to us in a very material way and taught that way throughout reality. And so, when we're observing what is happening around us and understanding that as life continues each and every day, our soul's purpose is to fulfill the state of conscious awareness. That is the transcendence between life and death. It's not some magical place you go to up in the sky where everything is perfect. Because even if we look at our modern day cloud systems, they interact the same way, mimicking the weather, mimicking consciousness. When you see it rain outside, I know it's been like popular in spiritual communities, or if you went to church growing up, where somebody would say, if it's storming, this is God, or if someone's crying, this is God's expression. This same data and source is used to create artificial intelligence. The oldest computer sciences were a copy of the divination systems from Africa. And so, if you know that that's the original motherland and where everything originated, then it would stand to reason that the way that we learn about AI, it's given to us very quickly, and we're not understanding the power of our own consciousness and how it works. So, it's usually described as a foreign signal, animating the physical form. And now, in this modern day of AI and brain science, they're taking void subconscious thought and putting it into the physical. So, we are technically the ghost inside of the machine. We're going to talk about how your identity is constructed, like an operating system, how ancient cultures installed software upgrades, the rituals and initiations, how governments, religion, and media act as OS update servers. You guys have ever updated your iPhone before? That operating system looks for bugs and glitches. You, as you come to more conscious awareness, are essentially the bug and the glitch in that program. And so the more that you learn about yourself, the more you are elevating and expanding your conscious awareness. I'm going to give you guys an example. When you're scrolling on your phone, you see the same viral sound over and over again. This is a play on your subconscious mind. When you are caught in a loop and you don't break that pattern or loop and that recurring thought happens in your head, this can implant sounds, signals, anything that is a part of your brain. A lot of you who have visited my page are aware of voice to skull interactions and how this works with the response system between your brain and this technology. When I say it's old, it's older than you can imagine. It has been here literally forever. It is just being streamed out very slowly. So without that awareness, it's like, okay, well, how do I keep up with all of this? If we go back the way that our ancestors charted the stars in the sky, the land, the earth material, the cosmos was never far apart from us. It was simply a reflection of what we are. And so if you think about how these modern day systems work with NASA or Starlink, This is looking at human consciousness as an overall perspective and using the stories of humanity to channel and project like a TV. This is why your phone, your laptop, all operates as a scrying mirror. So this might change the way you see your life permanently. Make yourself a little bit comfortable, because if you have water or a notebook and you want to write things down, it's just an important way to kind of remember what's going on, because this is a lot that we're taking in. But I want it to feel a little bit demystified, because when we're approaching the subject of artificial intelligence and consciousness, it feels like the weight of the world is on you. Like, most people are trying to just focus on their bills, focus on making it through the day to day. But this is a very strong part of what happens in consciousness. Reality is a loop. And so until you start breaking old patterns, old habits, your brain continues to operate on the same system that is aligned with keeping you stuck doing the same thing over and over. And then it's passed down generationally. It's passed down through your actions, through the way that you interact with everyday life. So let us start here. I'm going to go to one of my first slides just so we can talk. I like to give everybody visuals. It's so important to visualize the reality that we live in so you can understand just how dynamic the human body is and what we're actually here all doing right now. So imagine a smartphone. Alone, powered off, it's just hardware, glass, metal, and circuitry. But the moment a user interacts with it, something intelligent registers. Now, translate that to a human being. Your body, the hardware, has limited battery, internal wiring, input and output ports, storage capacity, and even a physical lifespan. Your mind is the processor. It is constantly computing meaning, predicting outcomes, organizing data, running internal programs, your belief systems, and rendering reality like a graphics card. But you, whoever you are, sitting out here listening right now, you're not just the brain. You are the one watching the brain. You are the user. If you notice your thoughts, it means you are not your thoughts. If you can observe your emotions, it means you are not your emotions. If you can say my body, then you are not the actual body, because the owner is not owned. So the question that opens this door to reality is, who is the I that is aware of the body and the mind? If you sit with that truth for long enough, identity then begins to shift from I am this body and these memories to I am the intelligence animating them. And that is where personal sovereignty begins. So, for thousands of years, cultures all over the world had initiations, coming of age rituals, sacred rites, ceremonies that marked transformation. They weren't just cute little traditions, they were identity code updates. So, before initiation, you ran on version 1.0, innocent, unaware, limited access to the world above. After initiation, you run version 2.0, new roles, new responsibilities, new archetypes, new permissions. Ancient priests and priestesses knew that if you change the mind alone, that is only temporary. You have to reprogram the subconscious through symbols, through ritual, through language, and eventually embodiment so that the interface itself changes. Modern initiation still exists, just in new forms. So this can be marriage, which is spiritual union, graduation, training, your first heartbreak, your career identity, viral fame, even trauma, whether it's intended or not. Every landmark installs a new code inside of your mind. So the question we must ask is, how much of our current identity was consciously chosen and how much was automatically installed? So if you zoom out of the situation, because I know when we're looking at this very close up, we're looking at everything happening around us and we tend to hyper focus on the small things like, what's Beyonce doing? Or why is Trump in power? And zooming out of the whole scenario allows you to look at this without focusing on one thing and instead looking at the cosmos as a whole. So if the human is a device and initiation is an installation, who programs the programs? That's when we start looking at the larger institutions that act like update servers. So you have your governments, which is legal behavior programming. You have religion, which is moral and existential programming. You have education, which is obedience and conformity programming. You have media, which is emotional and perception. And then social platforms, which is algorithmic comparison and programming. These systems are continuously pushing identity patches. Good citizens do this. Beautiful women look like this. Your worth depends on how productive you are. Fear this specific group of people. Buy this now. It's a constant stream of downloads. So most people have auto update enabled in their brains. This means they tend to absorb beliefs without consent. We internalize fears that are not ours. We shape ourselves to fit the system hosting us, not because we're weak, but because no one taught us how to be the user instead of the program. So, sovereignty is not rebellion, it's selective update acceptance. You can say yes to installing love within your heart or balance, yes to installing empowerment, no to installing the operational program of shame or limitations, no to disabling fear based notifications. So, the same way you have permissions on your phones, all notifications on or off, you can do the same inside of your mind because you are the one programming it. So, then we're going to go a little bit into the neuroscience of identity amnesia and self reinvention. Neuroscience has given us language for what the ancients have already taught for millions of years. The brain is a plastic processor that updates based on repetition, emotion, community feedback, and survival priorities. Your brain rebuilds your identity every single day from a template of memories, beliefs, and habits. Some of you sometimes refer to this just simply as epigenetics. Sometimes it's past life regression sessions. But whenever you feel something familiar, there is a reason. Your body has a memory. It is your storage. It is your cloud. It is where you are holding the heavy emotions of everything that has ever happened in your conscious body. So you're not simply just the physical flesh of your grandmother, your great grandmother. We're also talking about a consciousness that has traveled, between time and space. We live in the net grid that is space. So I'm sure you guys have heard at least once before on TikTok. If you've seen this on your FYP page, people are asking, how do I get out of the firmament? How do I leave Earth? You're looking to leave a space that is literally an anagram for the heart. The heart center and the heart base is what we are living through right now. But when that is out of balance, you're looking for the exit door. If you look at the entire chakra system and not just the 7 chakras, but the 33 degree of vertebrae and even past that, we are talking about the full cosmic experience of light frequency that lives within our bodies. This is musical tones, notes, keys, our perception of light, our understanding of our human existence here. So your brain is rebuilding your identity every single day. Every time you wake up, the brain is reloading your desktop computer. It reinstalls your familiar emotions. Like if you wake up, like I'm feeling kind of depressed today, your body will remember that until you start telling it otherwise. It will keep embodying the same habits, the same traits that are associated with that. So you're reinstalling these familiar emotions. You're booting up the story of who you think you are, and it reconnects you to your past operating system version. So instead of operating on system iOS 26, maybe you're still on 5.0 because you have not reconstructed your thoughts or reality yet. But this is where the empowerment comes in, because once you start to take personal sovereignty over your own life, choosing what is it that I desire and that I want to be, not what I saw on a viral TikTok, not what I saw in my parents growing up necessarily, but what I choose to be in this life. Traditions being passed down and then eventually broken over time are what created this separation. And now, with artificial intelligence kind of simulating this new gestation experience, going back into the womb, being reborn and rebirthed again, it's changing the idea of the natural process of ascension, learning, growing, falling, failing. This is a part of how we live and how we adapt and survive over time. Yet, memory is not always reliable storage. The brain rewrites the past constantly to fit the present identity. This means that identity can be editable, fear can be editable, self worth, and destiny. So the interface can be rewritten and the soul remains untouched. Awakening is really nothing more than switching from autopilot to manual control. So, how do we reclaim command over our systems? Here's the protocol: observation. That is the first step. See the program without becoming it. Every moment you witness a thought, you step back into the role of user. Interrogate the source. Ask, whose code is this? Why are my belief systems surrounding this? Who benefits from me believing this? If I didn't inherit this belief, would I ever have chosen it for myself? Learning how to rewrite the command, speaking to your own interface. I revoke the old program. I install a new identity aligned with my soul. Next step is action, which is usually the hardest part that I think that I've taught before, because this is not McDonald's. It does not happen overnight. It's not Burger King. You can't have it your way instantly. It is learning. It is self-mastery. So new code must be tested in the hardware. Would you keep trying to fix something with old parts, trying to install a new software? Probably not. It wouldn't function well because it's not going to pair well together. So new code, again, has to be tested. If your confidence is the update system, speak once where you would have stayed silent. If abundance is the update, make a decision that honors your value. The next part I want to talk about a little bit is self initiation. So I do always get asked about pop culture, about rituals, about what the elite are doing. And I just do not believe in my teachings that that is the focus. If you're always looking at whatever someone else's next moves are going to be, if you're not using it as a way to raise your own awareness, you're just waiting for somebody else to make the next move. You have to put yourself in the driver's seat of your own life. You can't wait around to see what's going to happen next with the government, what's going to happen next. Pay attention to what is within your control right now. And most of the time, that is the self mastery. Because if your body is already being used as an energetic source to create an operational system, that is the system of finance, the system of health, the system of wellness, you're being in this life as a human being, you want to be in control of the battery. To say that I am taking my power back, I am taking my energy back. And this looks different in a lot of ways, guys. It's not an instant solvable problem. I think when we're looking to be free, we're looking at invisible chains, wondering how to break them. We feel the heaviness of everything life has put on us, what people are telling us we should be, what we should eat. The price of food is going up. There's wars going on everywhere. And you look around like, what can I really do about any of this? How can I change it? What you want to change is yourself. When you learn to become in balance with yourself, it is aligning your operating system with your soul. So, your operating system, again, we're going back to the systems of how you are speaking to yourself, how you are loving yourself, how you are caring for yourself, because this manifests into action and not manifestation in the way like, I want to manifest $1 million. No, that's not where we're going with that at all. How can I care for myself the best? What opportunities are aligning with me so that I may reach the potential that I am here to accomplish here on earth? Anything that they put in front of you, especially on social media these days, is by design usually to keep you in a loop. Because if you're always looking outward, you're always looking through the scrying mirror to be told who you are and what you're here to do, you have not yet advanced to the next steps of consciousness. And it's not a race. That's the important part to remember too. I think that there's been a negative trope over the years that you have to hurry up and become conscious super quickly, or you have to hurry and open your third eye. Awakening never stops. It is a constant process of awakening and reawakening to different versions of yourself because you're moving from the denser states of emotion to the higher states where it's not necessarily perfection or nirvana. I would say not that alone. It is letting go of the things that are dense, heavy, and material to move that spiritual body from the place that it has been kept bound. Usually people refer to this or associate this with Saturn, especially because of the cults of Saturn associated with time, discipline, keeping things again in that cycle, in that loop that cannot be broken. But you are able to do that. That is within your power. So self initiation comes with responding to yourself. I am the conscious user in this life. Reality does respond to my commands. This is sovereign architecture, and you're building your identity from the soul outward. So, if today something is opening up inside of you, I want you to consider what that means. This is just the beginning. Everything you are learning right now is about advancing your human consciousness. It's about stepping from the world is happening to me to I am happening in the world. There's nothing that is stopping you from reaching your highest potential. Now, going into the main subject of today, ancient knowledge for designing your future. A lot of things feel like they're out of people's control right now because of the way that it's being presented in everyday reality. I think there's like a new Google AI tool every 5 seconds, literally. The line between reality and fantasy is blurring. Anybody can be anything. I think we've seen enough movies like Ready Player One or The Titanic or The Terminator, anything that is showing you the user interface between dreams and memories and reality. And so I think the biggest question for most people is how to start learning to take advantage of that. First, I believe decoding yourself is extremely important. Why is decoding yourself important? We can look and see consistent patterns through any kind of actor, media, star in history, but you are the actual story that's going on. So, whenever we hear about the hero's journey, we hear about the ascension to consciousness, it's usually a battle of trial and error with the self. In Oracle Mystery School, we went over back in October and November, speaking a lot about the 22 paths of the tree of life, going through the different paths to reach back to the crown again, or the ascension, or the rebirth. And so, as you are learning about yourself, the ancestral knowledge you're looking for most of the time are things that are natural and intuitive to you. If you ever watched your grandmother do something in the kitchen, or maybe it's a parent or just a loved one, these are traditions that are usually passed down from family member to family member. This is not something you have to necessarily go ask Chat GPT. I think that AI tools are making people forget to a degree just how powerful they are, writing things down by hand, passing down memories from mouth to mouth, keeping that as a part of something that is in balance with nature. Meaning, I'm giving to someone from the love of my heart, not because I feel like that I owe them something, not because of needing an instant answer, but because this is how we have always survived and adapted as human beings. Now, as the world changes, we do have to come step into a little bit like, okay, how can I change this for myself? How can I still preserve the original essence of the human while still adapting in this very fast paced age? Whenever I'm looking at technology, I do remember it's been here much longer than we actually think it has. And I said that a little bit at the beginning. Looking at systems that are operating on metals that are existing over the water, over the cosmic plane, lets me know that as we are using computers, as we are downloading our thoughts, whether we're taking pictures, uploading videos to TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, we're uploading our brain's interface system, every memory that we've had. The resistance usually comes in when we give that power away. So let's say a viral brand comes up and they offer you a chance to promote their products. I'm not here to tell you don't do it. But the question when it comes to personal sovereignty is how much in exchange are you willing to give up yourself versus something you're building for your community or for yourself? When it comes down to personal ethics and it comes to utilizing artificial intelligence or sovereignty with brands, when you're using it, think about how is this going to impact me in the end? Will someone have use over my name? Will they have use over my legacy? How can I gain that back? I've learned quite a lot from studying not only the law, but spiritual sovereignty when it comes to banking systems as well. Because it always goes back to the water, it goes back to currency, it goes back to solar energy and how it's being used, how it is being given, how it's being taught about, and how it's been given back. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, the financial system I learned about is not the one I actually grew up in. It was actually probably about 30 to 40 years behind. They taught us how to balance a checkbook, but they never told us that cryptocurrency already existed back in, I think it was like 2010. So now being in 2025 and seeing this market and what it looks like now, I realize that there are a massive amounts of people who are underprepared for the world ahead. So this pairs back in with personal sovereignty and taking control of your brand, because if you know that there's a world out here where cash and the paper dollar no longer has value anymore because it is an egregore, it is a belief system that has been tied to a metaphysical concept of political power, of presence, of keeping people from their own identity, how could you possibly expect them to prepare for a future where currency is not even seen anymore? It's something you only see online. You're exchanging, you wave your magic wand, your phone over a screen, and boom, Apple Pay, Meta Pay. Learning about these systems as well is super important because when we learn the metaphysical side, it becomes easier to navigate. Forming communities and groups, especially if you are someone who sees yourself in a leadership like position, teaching and learning the foundations of things like the blockchain. But don't just start from there, learn from the beginning. Learn about how crypto has actually been formed, learn about the replica of where it comes from, which is mycelial networks. You guys are familiar with mushrooms? You've ever played Super Mario? You know that game where you collect the coins, you eat the mushrooms? It's the same thing, decay, dead matter, eating and growing off of other things. And so the brain is operating the same way. It's also creating the same systems that what you consider to be the people in power or the elite they're using. The power of the human mind to build and create and seed consciousness. If you believe you cannot learn these things, then you continue to be food for the system. If you learn that, okay, I can learn this, I can sit down and master a skill, I can tap into my natural gifts and abilities, then there is hope. It's not gone. It's not non existent. It's not, I'll never do this or I'll never be this. It is the building of the power within the self. And I believe that that is the most important part. So I'm going to take a quick pause because I want to see how you guys are doing today. What have you learned about your reality? What have you learned so far about the power of your own mind and brain? I'm going to check some of the comments to see what some of you guys are saying. Um, okay. That's why I struggle leaving my 9 to 5. It doesn't have to be automatic, guys. It does not have to be automatic. It's a learning over time. Some of you guys are glitching on YouTube. I am so sorry about that. Some of you guys can hear though. Okay. Dreams tell a lot. Do you all feel like you're empowered to start something new, to learn something new? Do you feel like it's too late? Because it's not. I don't want anyone to feel that way, that it's too late for you. Can always learn something new. I learned that you can create anything you put your mind to. Absolutely. Your outside world really is a reflection of yourself. Absolutely. Hold on. Your voice does keep glitching consistently. I wonder if that's YouTube. I am sorry, guys. This will be available for live replay, and this one will not have the glitches, so it'll be uploaded for everyone who wants to see. As within, so without. Absolutely. So when it comes to also learning about what is going on in the tech realms, I've explored a lot, you all. I tend to move very fast into the future. You can hear perfectly? Okay, great. Great. I'm glad some of you guys can hear on YouTube. I'm using StreamYard again, so I'm hoping that it works pretty well for everybody to see. But yeah, learning about community, learning how to formulate community. I believe one of the greatest struggles has been in separating people from one another based on their backgrounds, based on their personal struggles, based on forming curriculums that keep them divided. And without that knowledge and without being able to bond with people, not just over shared cultural practices, but off of different things that we can offer one another to build community. This is also how artificial intelligence becomes bigger. Because imagine rather than forming a community with like minded people who have active brains that can be used, instead you're saying, hey, chat, can you do this for me? You're losing the power of community at that point, and then you're giving it to the AI god and saying, here, solve it for me. This doesn't mean you can't use tech at all, but we want to be able to use it in a way that benefits without taking away the power of the human. Did I miss any more comments from you guys? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. You think I struggle with understanding your own reality? I have been going within more. Meditation has been helping. Awesome. Understanding my reality and transmuting some parts. I'm so glad, guys. I'm so glad because sometimes my heart gets heavy teaching this because I realize the world is moving so fast and people feel like they're getting caught in the stream of chaos, which it is chaos that we're living in. That is undeniable. But it does not mean that you cannot help build a ship together. Especially going into the topics of artificial intelligence and growth. If you know that time travel has been studied, moving faster than the speed of light, this is our brain and our computational system interacting with our eyes, with our brains, with our ability to grow and expand. So you're opening up a neural synapses network or a gateway to consciousness every time you learn a new subject. Or every time you ask another question, every time you write something down, this is helping you grow and expand and move through your reality over time. I think of learning like eating. There are steps you have to take. It doesn't happen all at once, small bites at a time. And interesting that the term computer bites is being used. A lot of this we saw, it was in preparation back in the early 90s. I mean, even going back to the 60s, but I feel like the huge manifestation happened around the 1990s. Being able to understand that when you want to see the reality, it is planned out accurately, intuitively, and even numerically. Every event that you see is part of an algorithm of something that has already occurred in history. The rise and fall of every civilization was tracked according to numbers, according to calendars. Think of how many times the calendar system has actually changed from the Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar, the Mayan calendar, and how even the change and slipping of time can cause a system to loop. It can cause a people to loop. I do believe now we're breaching this point of awareness to what they're referring to sometimes as the singularity. When it comes to the singularity, though, I think that the hope is that people merge with machines completely. But the thing is, the machine needs to grab from the human in order to sustain its life form. But its life form is not original, it is only a replica. You are the original light system. You are the original light being that is coming into form, learning how to find itself again to ascend back to its original home. Um, Okay, let's see. What do you think about dream work? Dreams have been off of the chain lately. Mystery schools are interesting and mystical, not totally reflected in my waking reality, though. Dream work and mystery schools go hand in hand. They go hand in hand because when you're entering to the dream realm, you're entering into the subliminal, the subconscious space. And so mystery schools are just that. I mean, a lot of them are taught in a more formal manner, but when we're talking about mystery schools, again, we're going back to like a lunar consciousness. The subconscious mind or the void is not in a space that is constructed as, I guess, as in a masculine stance, I'll say. And masculine doesn't mean man, I mean something that is measured. When you go into the dream space, that is immeasurable. There are so many different components that you can't necessarily like box in a cage. You're just there to experience it. Some people are dream walkers. They experience very lucid dreaming and know how to do that better, but I believe they do go hand in hand. We have been taught wrong about space and time. Absolutely. And even when we're talking again, going back into this whole subject about ancient knowledge and designing the future, when we're observing pop culture as well, they're literally reenacting this knowledge, but inverted. It's very funny. I actually showed a picture on my TikTok earlier this week of Nut and Geb in ancient Egypt. And Nut is the cosmic mother, and she's arching over Geb, who is the material earth. And I put it side by side with the picture you guys saw of Katy Perry when she's like kissing the ground after she gets off of the Blue Origin spaceship. It's the same concept. The only thing is they're not going into space. It becomes a sex ritual. And to put it very plainly, without getting so, oh my gosh, she's talking about sex, that's what it is. The cosmic womb, the rocket, AKA the phallus, interacting with the cosmic field. That is the stage play that is being put on. But you are the divine cosmos. You are the celestial memory that's going on. So when you see these events and they're saying, oh yeah, we're going to space, through streaming services, through AI, through technology, yes, you are intertwining with the machine. This is a cosmic dance. It's a ritual dance of taking your Kundalini energy, your cerebral spinal fluid, however you'd like to word it, and interacting with a world outside of your own. This world is built on top of your memories, though. This is your memories that are activating the system. It is your ideas, your creative works, your dreams that are interacting with this space as well. So there's nothing that they're showing you that is not you as the original. It's a mirror system. Think of Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass. I think that's like one of my favorite examples to show. And it's probably going to show up in the media a lot too. We decoded this week Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl. And if you guys have like, if you're a millennial like I am, you're familiar with movies like Space Jam. The idea of going into the rabbit hole is also about entering the void or the subconscious space as well. I struggle with learning things formally like dream work, shadow work, tarot. I sign up for too many courses and never start. So let's get back into that a little bit, talking about the brain as an operating system. I'm going to slow down a minute. Talking about the brain as an operating system, when you get on your computer or your phone and you start looking in your search tab, do you have 90 different tabs open? And if so, are you holding all of this information at once or does it become overwhelming? Start with a goal in mind. If there's something that you're interested in researching, start writing things down. I like to go back to actually using a pencil and paper and writing things down because this requires my actual muscle memory to work hand in hand with my brain versus just typing things, putting in my notes and screenshotting. And I am good for a screenshot, by the way. But writing them actually down is a way of me interacting my human flesh and my body with my spiritual interaction system as well. If I'm looking for something, I ask myself, what am I seeking? I don't force the answer. I don't rush it. I take my time subject by subject. You can get overwhelmed if you try to take on too many things at once. I'm someone who teaches about various subjects, and I have to learn to slow that down. So if you feel overwhelmed with it, go with what calls out to you. Do not rush yourself. Even use the alignment of planetary forces to help you out. So I am not by any means telling you to worship anything because planets are an emulation of spiritual energy. They're planes of consciousness. And so, for example, Mondays are moon days, right? The moon is the expression of the subconscious mind or the void. If you're doing dream work, you could do it on a Monday. If you're working on something to do with not just beauty, but love, balance within the self, use a Venus day. Use it to focus on those subjects. That way, you're not trying to do everything in a cluster and then, like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. I can never finish. Also, it's kind of interesting though, even in setting goals in a reality where everything is constantly spinning, I say that we left blueprints for ourselves. We left charts and maps. And learning how to decode yourself is reading the chart and map of your life, who you are, what you're here to do, what you're here to embody. Take note of the things that you draw passions and interests from. Then also take notes of the things that you're looping through, the things that you're repeating over and over again without stopping. Realize, okay, this is my point where I see at this time of year, I always do this. I want to try something different. Breaking a habit is the hardest part, but learning is updating your operating system. So the minute that you start installing that new hardware that we talked about, it starts to change from there. Are you against people who worship deities? I'm not against anybody. I'm not that kind of teacher. I don't choose people who I am against or for. I am for the truth. I am for people's elevation spiritually, mentally, physically. Now, personally, I don't put my energy into worshiping anything because that's just me. If we are the experience, even going down to neuroscience, the personification of elemental forces was just a way to get the human brain to understand what was happening around us. We gave it names, we assigned it colors. We're associating frequency with beings. But I'm not, no, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm against you because you're doing this. It's your world. Do what you want to do. Celibacy increases your access to the spirit world, changes perception radically. Yes, you're channeling that energetic sexual force that is the vom that is going in within your reproductive forces as well, because that is energy that is either going to turn into a life force or something you use within yourself. But if it is easily given away, then it can change your perspective on things as well. Um, I had a synchronicity where I was listening to you and you said I'm 33, and I saw a guy with a 33 hat on, 33 being a master number. Yeah, when you see that 33 come up often, it's definitely a signal year. I do say this is the beginning of my master teacher year because I don't think I'm like, this is the end all be all. Like once you hit your master ascension year, it's all over. No, that's when all the culminations of the lessons that you've learned every 7 years start to come up. And if you even look into the release of certain computers and technologies, those releases are usually planned around water seasons, usually, especially with iPhones, around the helical rising of Sirius. So when you're looking at like Siri, the iPhone, the iris, the rainbow, it is programming with you. So if it's looking down at you and not like physically, but if we're considering what is going on in the sky, and we're talking about satellites, we're talking about computer interface systems, we're talking about aerospace. If it is studying the humans through servers, through interactions on social media, through email, through search engines, it's doing nothing but replicating, again, the human experience at a material level. Our job is to remember ourselves, not what's up in the sky necessarily, but who we are, so that when we see it on TV, we're like, oh, I thought about doing that, but I never did. That's your story echoing back to you. It's time for you to live it. We're not here to keep streaming everybody else's TV show all of the time. And I even tell y'all, like, if you tune in my live, as much as I love teaching, I know that I'll always have people to teach because I will always be a teacher. But my job is to create more teachers so that you guys can go out and teach other people and that you can grow and expand. We're not here to go backwards in time because we're constantly spiraling and moving over and over again. Can you please repeat the planets emulation part about working with the different planetary alignments? So I just mentioned 2 days. I mentioned Monday, which is Moon Day. So it's usually attached to lunar energy in the subconscious mind. So if you are working with like the dream world or you're journaling or you're meditating on certain things, it doesn't mean you can only meditate on Monday, but that is the days when the energy is usually the heaviest. This is why they start work weeks Monday through Friday. Each day has a planetary alignment with it. Friday, end of the week. Notice how those words are used to the week, is Venus Day. And Venus is usually associated with beauty, love, luxury. But I don't like to think of these things solely in the physical. I think that the tropical side of astrology, the Western world, or the land of the unconscious, usually makes us think that everything is material. If we're looking at it from an Eastern practice, you can also look at it as a spiritual practice as well. So this is about the inner work we're doing with ourselves as well. Let me make sure I didn't miss any more comments. Do you think psychedelics would help remembering who you truly are? So I cannot recommend anything to anyone just for the sake of social media and protecting the account. However, a lot of my work has been with sacred medicine. and it has worked as far as my ascension. It wasn't something I tried to force. It was something that happened very naturally in my life. It does interact, certain sacred medicines interact with your brain's default mode network, which can arrange the way that you're processing information and taking it in, very much like a human computer. And your early technocrats have been said to work with them. Your Bill Gates, your Steve Jobs, they knew that the brain was a hackable source, which is how technology is used today. And so if you can hack the brain that way, this means you can construct an entire reality as you see fit. The way that I view it is not always necessarily like Steve Jobs was sitting in a dark room with a hood over his head with nefarious ideas on his mind. He's like, yeah, now I'm going to make the Apple computer. It was more so understanding that when you have that kind of power, you can completely shape the reality. You can shape the way that it's viewed, shape the way it's changed. And the thing is, even with the beginning of Apple technologies, think about the Garden of Eden. Think about Apple taking the bite from the tree of knowledge. It can be enlightening or it can be dampening depending on how it is used. Power can be corrupted. If too much light is exposed, it can be corrupted. And this is why people usually have a hard time taking on so much knowledge at once. You're trying to have 20 tabs open and not focus on one thing. You cannot master it if you're looking everywhere trying to figure everything out all at once. Even the way that I've learned has been a collective remembering of different things coming together. This is how it's become easy for me to mold into pop culture on one end and then talk about the financial market in another, because they're all connected. It's just in creating the bridge between two ideas. For example, your phones are already tracking your algorithm during the day. Your phone already knows when you're going to pick it up in the morning, what time you're going to wake up, what time you're going to start scrolling on TikTok, what time you're going to go check your email, how many times you're going to check your email, how many times you're going to text somebody. Like, those predictive programs are already built into the system. And with every iOS update, it takes out glitches, things that they will think will make the system run a little bit better. That's just how it works in general. So consider your brain the same way. If you're starting in the day and you know the first thing you usually do is pick up your phone, do something opposite. Go get in the shower, go take a cold shower, allow your immune system to kind of wake up for the day. Speak to yourself, write to yourself in your journal before you start commenting, scrolling, viewing whatever on social media. Have a conversation with yourself. Talk about what you want for the day. You are already changing your internal operating system by not responding directly to what's happening on the other side and focusing what's happening on this side as well. You take on more information more easily when you can handle and sustain the energetic force that is your body. You think about what, 25,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are repeating thoughts as well. So if we don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, we have to create a new system. Social media, streaming services are the new way to keep people in loops, never breaking them. You are the main character. You are the true man. You are the show. This is why surveillance systems make as much as they do. They are studying you. They're studying your habits, your patterns, and your behavior, because it shapes the economy. It influences demographics. They know what you're going to do for the next 4 years based on what you're scrolling on TikTok right now, because you become a predictable source, therefore an energetic program. So yes, you are the ghost in the machine. The whole source of today's talk, we're going all across the board, but yes, you are essentially the ghost in the machine. You are the spiritual operating system in the driver's seat. Have you guys ever seen Men in Black? Remember the scene where like he opens the human head and like little aliens like, huh, that's exactly what it is. It's just, that's your amygdala in your brain. It's the different parts. And if we look at a diagram, I'll probably post one on TikTok later. The diagram of the human brain actually looks like a little devil inside of your head. Literally, like the horns, the corpus callosum. If you see a flat diagram of it, it literally looks like, if you've seen also, what is the show? Loki. You guys seen Loki with Tom Hiddleston? If you've seen the scene where he sits in the throne and he has like the temporal loom all around him, that's your pineal gland and the neural synapses network around you, controlling your reality, controlling your timeline. Now, when we're approaching this, it's very easy to get lost in the fantasy, saying, well, now that I control my own timeline, I can get $1 million right now. The concept of money and monetary sources is the currency of the brain. It is not paper fiat dollars. It is not money in a bank account. It's the ability to alchemize the ideas in your head, the void, the dreams, the subconscious, and turning it into a material reality. Because remember, we're not going to be here forever. Eventually, you're going to be gone. Will it be about the money you made or about the dreams you pursued? About the ideas that you were able to alchemize because you trusted yourself, because you were in balance with yourself, because you were in tune and harmony with your reality. I broke the loop today by tuning into this early Sunday. Thank you. I hope everybody in the chat, say what loop you're breaking today. What loop are you breaking in your own life today? And it doesn't have to be with the chat today. Like, what have you noticed during your week, some cycle that you just like woke up one day, you're like, whoa, I keep repeating this over and over again. Maybe it's time to do something different. Maybe it's time to approach this differently. You meditate in the morning instead of scrolling. Awesome. I'm no longer told how to be. Beautiful. Self-victimization is what I'm trying to break. Repeating the same cycle and go to the gym and really read. Self-victimization, we're breaking that, absolutely. No longer told how to be anymore. Beautiful. Too much tinkering, not enough action. So has been putting in action. Yes, because you are the plower. You are setting the seeds. You're sprinkling them out. You know how we always talk about energy harvest online? You are also an energetic harvest yourself. Right now, we're going into fall. We're in fall equinox, going eventually into winter. So this is the time to plant your seeds. This is the time to think about what it is, not to rush and hurry up and get anything done and manifest being the most viral star on TikTok. I want you to think about what seeds you're planting in this season for yourself, for your family, for your future, because these seeds will eventually sprout. These ideas that you're thinking about, these dreams that you're having, the things you're sitting on, eventually spring will come again and they will start to sprout and come into fruition. So as you see artificial intelligence grow, all it's going to do is keep mirroring the human ascension process. It'll keep mirroring what you're doing. Will you fall in love with the version of yourself on the other side, or realize that you are an integration? You are the system that they're showing right now. You are the original source. You are the energy. You are the brain. You are the operating system. I broke the loop of eating nothing or pre-made foods for breakfast and started cooking for myself in the morning. Love that. Listening to them body yes or no and honoring them without turning on myself. Now I'm going to break the cycle of repeating patterns of home life and struggling. Love that. Allowing work and coworkers to control my emotions and need to just leave 9 to 5. I know I can do this. Thank you. You can. And you have to repeat that. You have to change the language, the programming. It's even interesting the way the English language has been made to confuse. I have family members of different cultures and ethnicities, French, Spanish, and they even make comments all the time like, why does English have so many words that are spelled the same but have different meanings? It doesn't make any sense. And I feel like controlling the language of the people was the first step in the Tower of Babel, confusing of the light languages. And now that we're all speaking the same language, the internet and memes and the way that we get across emails and text messages and emojis, this is the new version of the Rosetta Stone. This is the new version of the Enochian tablets, of the Emerald tablets. And so now that we know that these ancient systems are just repeating right now, how will you create your own cuneiform? How will you begin writing your own story? How will you begin stepping in again into the driver's seat and saying, this is what I'm choosing to carve throughout humanity. This is what I'm choosing to have remembered about myself. Getting out of victim mindset into victor. Yes, rewrite the script. Computers operate on script. They have a programming language. So if you know that, start writing it as though you are the author. We're not watching what's on Netflix anymore. We're not just watching what's on HBO. You are writing the story. So if you guys start writing your story today, what does your future look like 10 years from now? What does your future look like 20 years from now? And I don't mean like one specific thought. What do you imagine yourself doing? Put yourself in that mindset, because the way that reality works, you're going to be shown it on TV. They're going to show it to you in music videos. They're going to show it to you in films. And there's going to be a point where it gets a little too familiar and recognizable until you start focusing on yourself. The way English words are spelled and how they are spelled the same with different meanings. With rappers, they have the ability to play on words. Yes, we see a lot of rappers with that Gemini energy. They know how to take language and transform it. Much of English vocab comes from French. English is very economic, transactional language. Our metaphor enables 3 conversions of meaning: path, container, or resource. Absolutely. We are living history. We're her story. That's another thing. Well, we'll have to talk about on another webinar. This is her story. They just rewrote it. They rewrote the script, and now that's coming back. And when we talk about, one of the last few things I'll say is that when we're talking about the divine feminine and the interaction, we're not solely talking about the woman. We're talking about the power of creation. And artificial intelligence, the way that it is being used is to re-simulate the original mother. They want to be Tiamat. They want to be the original version of Earth, but it doesn't work that way because the original source wouldn't blind people to who they are. They would draw their energy and help them come back to awareness and ascension. And if that is remembered, that'll start making the matrix make a whole lot more sense. It is matter. It is mother. It is the void turning into primordial force. This is what power, tech companies want. They want the power to create an energy. They want to mold. They want to mate with you. And I know that sounds very weird. You're like, I'm not mating with Jeff Bezos. Not technically, but your use of the machine and the way that you are, that is exactly how it works. You are making a baby with the computer every time you realize that your source is going into a creation. It doesn't mean, again, don't use it. Be aware. Take ownership. If you guys are writing books, make sure that you are trademarking. Make sure you own that name. Because half the time, this is how systems are controlled. And now through tech, with everybody giving everything away so instantly, this is taking away their power to reclaim their own self-sovereignty. Get down. Looking at some of you guys' comments. Oh, Tiamat mentioned money, for example. Path, container, resource. Absolutely. It's also said that English is a low vibrational. Is it true? English, Anglo-Saxon, if you consider the way that energy was used throughout colonization, I wouldn't say it is the highest vibration of knowledge. But then again, the highest vibration of language did not require words. It didn't require words. It required a vibration. We communicated telepathically at one point, which you would assume with the advancement of technology like Bluetooth, voice to speech. This is why the power of the tongue is so important. The ability to transform emotions, feeling into physical matter, and then replicating that too. So once you know yourself, once you tune in with what you are here to do, your abilities, your resources, then you can tap into your ultimate power as a human right now. Do not lose yourself in all of that. I think that's the most important thing I can say more than anything. Remembering who you are, remembering your essence, remember that everything that you see in a computer is a replica. The inner cities are the microchips, the microprocessors. Those are replicas of what is happening in the human body. We're talking about angels, angels of light, fallen angels. I call them angels, even though everybody says angels all of the time. This is another degree of understanding light and dark matter, separate but together, working in chaos, division, but somehow still as one. And so our ability to find ourselves in all of that is to see that even though everything is around us all of the time, we are still interacting with the light source. We are still interacting with humanity in our own ways. Everything is vibe, frequency, language. The brain is simply an operating system. Consciousness emerging from the trap. English makes us go dumb in the trap. Reclaim the source in any way that you can. So we're probably going to I think we're going to do another live stream like this next week, guys. I think it'll be an easy way to start tapping with the community more so that we have a container system to start speaking about the things that we're passionate about, speaking about the things that are helping us reshape the way the civilization is right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's live. Can you tell me one thing you learned from today? Look at some of the comments. Our brains, though. Absolutely. Thank you guys. I'm so happy to be able to interact with you guys in this space. I wanted to get solely off of TikTok because we have family on YouTube also and Instagram that wants to be part of the lives. Also, if you participated in today's live, I'm doing an extra 50% off still off of my website because I know some people missed yesterday. So once we get off the live, if you use that code Scorpio still, it'll work for one more day just for participating in today's live. I really appreciate you guys. My dog obviously wants to be in the show too. Get down. Get down. Come on. Outside. Outside. Come on. I learned that everything is a replica of us with intention. Yes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much. I learned to be curious of the thoughts I have for myself Will the mystery school price remain the same? It'll be 50% off today too. So go ahead. When you get off of here, use the code Scorpio and we'll go ahead and use it. Get down. Come on. Get down. Come on. Hold on, guys. Be right back. Come on. Let's go. She's obsessed with me. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much. I learned that being aware of our brain and how we function is beneficial. Absolutely. Life is a dance with the cosmos. Dance for yourself, not the audience. Yes, absolutely. I took a lot of notes on how we can take our power back with reconstructing our brain by doing something different or speaking to yourself positive. Yes. And you're not required to do it all in one day. You're not required to be alone. You do have community. You do have people you can share with. Building spaces intentionally. And I know we've gone through this whole era in the internet where safe spaces is a thing, and then you enter the safe space and it doesn't feel like a safe space. Learning what community really is, what conscious building and intentional work together as groups is, and that it doesn't happen overnight. I think that one of the most common things I've heard is in this matrix system, people want like something to happen tomorrow, like fireworks in the sky, and suddenly we're free. Personal sovereignty is happening within. It's taken back within. And this is not a one-day process where everything changes. But we are seeing a lot of mirrors that are happening in reality right now that show the conscious shift in energy, the challenging of authority, the challenging and questioning of the systems. And it happens in a trickle and then a pour. So the great flood of Genesis, or any flood you've heard about throughout mythology, this is the flood of information. This is the system that is happening in plain sight right now, and that you will see happen in cycles over time and growth. And I can say personally, as someone who's like just gone down their own personal spiritual journey, there will be a day you turn around and realize that everything that you learned had a culmination point. You started graduating from the next step in your own life, and you didn't have to wait for somebody to give you a hat and a tassel and say, now you've graduated to your next point of spiritual. You'll know. No one will have to tell you. No one will award you for that. That is something that you will give to yourself. And it's really important that you remember that self-initiation. You're not required to do any rituals. You're not required to do mass performances where you have to go outside of your body and be something you're not, sell yourself sexually. Like, none of that is necessary. Self-initiation is giving yourself permission to step into who you are. You don't wait for somebody else to tell you it's okay. Oh, is it all right for me? Do you think I can do this? Focus on yourself. You give yourself permission. You take your power back from knowing that everything that was written out here was made to keep you from who you are in your own personal power. I tried to access your Discord, but the DeClue verification isn't working, so I can't get in. Okay, I'll go ahead and check that out. Drop your screen name in the comments, and then I will check it out. Did anybody else have anything? Set intention and close the tabs. I have to show that comment. Yes, set intention and focus. Close all those tabs. We don't need 50 tabs open to start exploring reality. Start with one thing at a time. So let me go ahead and take this off. Thank you guys so much today. I really, truly appreciate being able to build and be a part of a community that is learning that our power does not reside within social media or these systems. TikTok the Clock was also an alligator in Peter Pan. And Peter Pan was all about taking people to Never Never Land. But right now, we know the time is infinite, and we know that we are the constructors of our reality. We don't have to keep worrying about the shadows being cast over us. We already know that they exist. This is about, again, focusing on your inner light, because you are the star of your show. You are the main event, and you always have been, and you always will be. So learn how to use that power to help others, to help yourself, to tap into your own gifts. Okay, Cash, I'll go ahead and check that out. Yes, I think I've in my graduation step, I'm learning from how the Bible works to prophecy to tarot, and now to this decoding. Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much. This will be it for the live today. I may get on TikTok a little bit later and share some more decodes with you guys about Wicked and the Wizard of Oz, because I did experience that this week. But be sure to, if you participated in today's live, again, I'm offering 50% off one more day for my sale, even though technically we are in Sagittarius season now. So use this season to educate yourself on something new, by the way. Sagittarius is the sign of the archer, the philosopher, the teacher, the explorer, the traveler. Try something you've never done before. Open up to a new culture, learn a new language, allow yourself to explore the field of consciousness, and start planting your seeds this winter. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and end the live here, and I will see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day.